here. I thought that I had everything kind of set up, and apparently I was actually streaming on Twitch for a second. But welcome back. I think we're doing good. If anybody has any issues, if you're hearing something on your side that I'm not hearing on my side, obviously please feel free to let me know. But this is the first stream that we've had in a couple of months, so wanted to hop in here on this beautiful Sunday. It's a little chilly outside here in Kansas City, Missouri, but obviously in Merida, I think it's about 90 degrees outside. But we are so close to getting back there. We're going down in July. I'm ludicrously excited about it. If you guys see me looking over here, my stream setup, you can probably tell where I used to be right behind me is the desk where I've been the last few videos and stuff. This is actually my normal desk where I kind of do all of my editing and everything. And I bought camera thing that's kind of holding my new Blackmagic 6K. So hope you guys are enjoying the video quality and all that stuff. But yeah, I got everything kind of set up here, and I'm enjoying it. It's going to be fun, and I cannot honestly wait to bring this stuff down to Merida because it's going to make this entire setup so much easier. But yeah, hope you're doing good. Tim, what's up, man? Welcome to you too, amigo. Yeah, it's good to be back. I've been making videos and trying to do shorts and stuff like that, but the live streams are the one thing that it's like every single time I think about doing it, it feels like life kind of gets in the way. And right now, there was just a perfect amount of time to be able to handle that. So I'm glad to be here, man. Hope you're doing good. And I think I told you this last broadcast, but also thank you very much for answering some of the questions that the people had that were on the last live stream. That was really cool to be able to see that the community kind of came together and we we helped somebody out. That was really neat. And again, like I said, if I'm looking here, camera, here, computer, and especially like when I change to that view, there's a reason for it. Like I'm looking at Yucatan Times, figure we could talk about a couple of different things. Like this article, I haven't even read this one yet. There was one that was popped up here a little bit ago, but essential packing for traveling to the Yucatan. Seems like a pretty nice conversation to have. Lightweight and breathable clothing, duh. Insect repellent, duh. Comfortable footwear, of course. Water bottle, bring seven. And cash and credit cards, why not? But we're going to go back and forth between that and everything. But whoever's on here, as always, please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. I've got everything kind of set up over here to be able to answer any questions that you guys have. And outside of that, I'm probably just going to be talking for a while. Again, enjoying my time here. And I realize now that I look over here how giant my nose is against that green screen. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I look like a toucan. Tim, I know what you mean. I've been working on building planters and buying plants the last 2 months, just vanished. Yeah, the timing this year has been absolutely crazy. Like it's one of the we keep talking about this because like every time like you get to the holidays, it always feels like it kind of slows down for about 2 weeks. But then normally it kind of kicks back up and you just kind of get used to everything that you're doing. But this year just we're very lucky. We're very fortunate, but it's like we've bought a few things. We've been dealing with the place in Merida. We've been dealing with a few issues that are here and at the lake and stuff like that. And between my wife having like a big trial to start the year and everything else, it just literally feels like I have fumbled the first part of the year. Like positive things, getting to travel a little bit and do all that kind of thing, but it definitely feels like this one's kind of it's flying by. I'm looking at this article again. So I'll just bring you back to it. Look at this article again. It's like camera, the Yucatan Peninsula, home to many natural wonders. Yeah, you have a camera in your pocket all the time. And then the other thing, Spanish phrase book or language app. Guys, don't get a book. Don't do anything like that. Literally download Google Translate and it'll save your life. Sometimes literally, but in this case, like just kind of hilariously, it makes me laugh every time I see stuff like this because when I have the Google Translate app, especially like at our house in Merida, when the crew comes over to like clean the house or do gardening and stuff like that, I don't I don't speak enough Spanish yet, and I'm getting better, thanks to Duolingo and a few other apps. But I'm getting better at speaking Spanish, but it's such a different cadence, and Yucatan is, they have their own way of speaking. It's very interesting. But if you just have the Google Translate app, you literally just click hold it up, and you're there. And they say something, you read it, you say something, they read it, and you're good to go. It's not a complicated process, but my God, it sure seems like we try to make things more complicated than they actually are. So don't worry about the number 7 Spanish phrase book or language app. Just literally download Google Translate and you're going to be good to go. But welcome to everybody. If you guys don't mind hitting the like button, and obviously if you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. But but it was awesome. That's one of my favorite things is these, like, the very beginning of this, because I know it's the people that get the notifications immediately, and then more people kind of filter in throughout. But man, you couldn't wipe the smile off my face. We got the flights into Merida about a month ago, probably a little less, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, probably about 3 weeks ago. And the only negative, and I mean this, the only negative is how expensive they are. Like the flights, if you guys have looked at flights from, I mean, we're from Kansas City. So it's like the flights from Kansas City to there, like it's gotten kind of crazy how expensive everything is. And I know that part of that is like, fuel prices and stuff like that. But there have been times where we've gone down and the prices have been, expensive, but not bad. I can't remember what we paid. It was like 12 to 1400 a flight. It's like, man, I really enjoy having a place in Merida. Like, but one of the things that I love the most about it is it's so close. We flew to Cancun. We went to Isla Mujeres a few months ago and had a great time, but the flights weren't crazy, and the one back was direct. For those of you who were in the last, I can't remember if I talked about this on the last live stream or not, but we had a situation where we had this great plan. We were going to hit, I think it was Houston to Merida, and then on the way back, Southwest has a direct flight. So we're like, this is going to be perfect. It's about 3 hours when you go straight from Cancun. And switch back to this view. And in that flight, like it's a very simple thing. When you have a direct flight, it's easy. But on the way there, it was like, all right, cool. Well, my wife, her passport had kind of gone a little bit, it was about to go expired. And so we did the right thing. We've done it before. We got all the paperwork together, sent it in, and they were like, yeah, it's going to be about 2 weeks to get it expedited. And they always say like 4 to 6, but everybody we've talked to in the last year, passports have been coming back like crazy. And we sent it out 7 weeks early. And then we got about 2 weeks before the flight, couldn't get an answer. 1 week before the flight, couldn't get an answer. And then literally like 2 days before, like, if we don't see it in the mail, we have two choices. We can either be done and just not go on this trip, or we have to figure out a way for you to get to like Atlanta. So she didn't have to go to Atlanta, but my wife went to, I think it's Hot Springs, Arkansas or something like that, and had to fly into Little Rock, take a cab out there, sit in a line with a bunch of people, get her passport. Couldn't get a taxi back, so this wonderful Korean family ended up taking her back and to the hotel that she was staying at. She took a flight to Houston and then got to Merida. That's, you think, would be the most complicated part. But the day that I end up going there, hilariously, is I'm going there the day of. I'm taking the flights that we've had for months, but Kansas City has a new airport. We just opened it up literally, God, was it a day before? I think it was a day before I actually was going on this trip. So I was there the second day, and I will go down in history as having the first delayed flight out of that airport. And when I say delayed, I mean hours. And I didn't have a very long layover in Houston. So I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, I got to figure this one out. So we end up, because she was the main person on the card, we went through all this stuff. I'm delayed 3 hours. We end up finding another, rather than Southwest, we go United. I end up getting to Houston, getting to Merida, and I was only about 30 minutes off of where I should have been originally. But if I'd have taken the Southwest flight, I would have lost an entire day to travel. So I know Southwest is very popular, and there are so many people that love it, and it has a great reputation. But for my money, I have had a great experience with United, and I have never been choked out and drugged through the aisle of a United flight, even though that happened to a guy a few years ago. So go United. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But yeah, so that was one of those moments where you're like, this is not what I'm looking forward to on on an international flight is one, getting delayed 3 hours and then having to come back. So, yeah. But for those of you who are just joining us, thank you very much. My name is Alexander Howell. This is my channel. And again, this is my live stream. You guys can send any comments that you want to, and we can talk about all kinds of different things. But for the most part, especially in the first 10, 15 minutes, I like to just kind of chill out, hang out with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, cool. But it definitely takes a while with this process to kind of get everybody on board. And normally about 20 minutes in is when I find that we've kind of hit a good streak. We have a few concurrent viewers, and then it kind of grows, like it ebbs and flows throughout the whole process. But for those of you who are here, thank you very much for being here. It's awesome. The last couple of videos that I've had have been, I don't like the word successful, but it's been kind of cool to be able to create a few videos that it seems like a lot of the viewers of this channel like. And so thank you for that, by the way. Jeremy, what's up? How is it going? Hello, everyone. Yes. Hope we're doing good. It's a fun time. I'm glad you're here, man. Yeah, it's funny how this process works. Like I'm looking over here because the chat's over here. I need to put like a chat board right there and kind of get my screens a little bit more in order compared to what they are now. But because I can look at that and then look right back up at you guys, but everything's right here right now. But yeah, it is interesting how this kind of works out. Every single time that I go live, it seems like it's about 20 minutes in where we actually start like getting the conversation going and stuff. But I absolutely love having people on. It's fun to do. The videos are fun, but you're editing them. You're doing like jump cuts and stuff like that. Here, I feel like I get the actual questions that people have as opposed to the comment section. And then we can actually interact and we can look it up on time. Like all I have to do is just go, boom, look something up on the internet, and then we go back to having a conversation. So these are literally my favorite times. So thank you guys so much for commenting and everything like that. It really is fun. And this new setup is weird because this is where I always used to stream from. But if you guys remember, that green screen would be behind me and I'd have like a picture of Merida in the background. And it was fun. It's good. It looks cool, but it never felt as, I don't know, just never felt as good. But so investing in the camera and kind of getting everything set up, not being back there like I have been, hopefully going to finish this basement off in the next 12 months. And then I will actually be over here behind this wall in this room, and everything will be set up the way that we need it to be. Tim, what's up? Too bad you won't be back before July. There's an amazing art show. Tell me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Siglo 21, a 3D immersive Van Gogh thing until the middle of June. Looks spectacular. Is that? Hold on. I'm glad you said that. Because now that I'm thinking about it, let's go back to the live streaming thing. Is that what this is? I'm pointing at it like you guys can see. I can't tell if you guys can see my mouse or not. But the Yucatan Times, the Van Gogh experience. That's got to be what you're talking about, right? Wednesday, March 15th. Oh, not going to get into politics. Nope. I don't do that. There it is. Yeah. Vincent van Gogh, Dutch post-impressionist painter, widely regarded, Starry Night, everybody knows that. The Van Gogh, the immersive experience Merida. That's what you're talking about, right? Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll leave that up here for a second. That's really neat. Van Gogh's self-portrait, Bandaged Ear, is a famous painting completed 1889. Background, you can see self-portrait. Scheduled Monday to Thursday, 10 to 20. Fridays and Saturdays, 10 to 21. Sundays 10 to 20. Duration, the visit will last approximately 90 minutes. Centro de Convenciones y Exposiciones, siglo XXI. That's awesome. Thank you for saying that. It was like you were reading the internet's mind. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I should just leave it up there like that. That way I can just kind of, when I'm looking at my computer, it looks like I'm looking at Van Gogh and we're having a conversation. Like, how's it going? He can't hear me. That's a terrible joke. Sorry. Thanks, Tim. Gonna have to check it out. 100% German, do it. Boots, my wife and mother-in-law love it. Oh, so you've actually been. Tell me what it's like. If you don't mind, like if you're here, let me know what it's like. It sounds cool, and anybody who watches this later is just going to learn a little bit more about it and hopefully be convinced to go see it. It looks really cool. Van Gogh is pop. Sorry, my kids are going nuts upstairs. I apologize. Freaks me out. Yeah, that's really cool. We have so many things come through in Merida as well as Kansas City, and my, stupid behind never ends up actually going to see them. We had something God, 6 months ago that was about I can't remember if it was a Holocaust thing, but it was Auschwitz, and they had all kinds of like I just heard so many people that went through it, and I convinced myself I'm going to go see it because it looked amazing, and everybody that came back from it felt like they had this amazing experience, and I never did it because I'm lazy and I work in front of a computer all day long, and why would I actually go out and enjoy a cultural experience like that? But yeah, it runs to June 18th, so that's awesome. If we were down there for my anniversary, we would have actually caught it. Down there for June 14th. Scroll down the ad a bit. How far? I've been to Campeche, but not yet to Merida. How's your experience of the internet over there? Yeah, Tim, excellent for me. Much faster and cheaper than Canada. I can't speak to Canada because I've never been, but what I can say, Gene, is I had initially planned to get gigabit internet down there through one company, and then we weren't able to get it, and we ended up going through Telmex that said that they had gigabit, but not in our area. So they were charging us for a minute, but it was 50 megabits a second, which is about, again, a 20th or whatever of what we have or what I have here. It does everything you need. The thing that I say is it's always it's more about your router than anything else. So I have a mesh router, which is the Linksys. I can't remember exactly what the model is. I did a video on it, but the internet's fine. Like for me, it's been great. We've had no issues. I can access my router from the United States there if I ever need to reset something for somebody that's renting our place, which I had to do a couple of months back. But the 50 megabits a second allows you to stream, do Netflix. The only thing you have to think about is most of the houses, if not all of the houses, but definitely ours, it's all concrete block and concrete like construction. So if you have like a house here where you've got, wood studs and stuff like that, internet signal can go through that really easily, but there it'll bounce off that stuff like crazy. So even from one room to another, you really have to plan on it, which is the reason why I brought down the mesh system. I ended up bringing six nodes, which are like that big, but I brought down six of them, and I have great internet from the very back of our property to the front of our property and even upstairs, but I had to kind of mess with their location for a while. So that's the only thing I can say. It's great internet, and it's not expensive. Honestly, the lower speeds are in line, are cheaper, but the higher speeds are more in line with the United States. So if you do a 50 megabit a second like I have, just get a good router and you're good to go. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, it's let me look that up real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. Just so I can show you exactly what I got. Yeah, here it is. It's this guy. And actually the newer ones are even better. So these nodes, let me look up how, there we go. So these nodes, I've got, like I said, in my house here, I have three. One right over there, one on the first floor, one on the second floor. And they basically can connect to each other via wire or via Wi-Fi. So if you set one up right next to your router, you can either connect the next one just by plugging it in and connecting it via Wi-Fi, or if you plan ahead, which in my house I thought we were doing, you can connect them wire by wire, and it's a little bit faster. But I can tell you that when I was in our house when we stayed down for a month, if I can talk, Jesus, guys, sorry. When we stayed down for a month last summer, this is the reason I edit my videos. I was able to achieve, I think, 48.6 megabits a second in our bedroom, which is a straight but long shot for one of those routers. And because it was a mesh system, it was picking it up from there and from the top floor, and it was able to get consistent signal. I live streamed from our bedroom and I had zero problems transmitting in 1080p 60 frames a second. So get something like this. I'd 100% recommend this. And you can see, you guys can't see it yet. So you can see that it shows like 6,000 square foot, 60 devices, 8,200. Like it shows kind of what you need. What I will tell you is the number one thing you can do to improve your internet, whether it's in the States and Canada, all over the world, or especially in Merida, because of that concrete construction, invest in your Wi-Fi network. Like the router, the modem is going to be from the company. They're going to install that, but the router is what this stuff is. And if you invest more in it, you're going to be so much happier. And like I said, 50 megabits a second will do everything. We were streaming Netflix. My mother-in-law was watching something on CNN that she wanted to see. Not judging, just saying. And then, I was live streaming and stuff like that. We never had an issue. So get something like that, and it will make your life 1,000 times better. But yeah, and I know that the price tag can be a little scary, especially when I told you that I bought 2 of these because we had 6 nodes. But man, I have to be honest. When we had Henry building our house, Henry Ponce was our architect. One of the things I told him was I want Cat 6 line, which Cat 6 is basically, it allows you to have I think it's up to 10 gigabits, like gigabits per second. But what I knew we needed was 1. And then when I found out it was like 50, whatever. But I still wanted them all to be wired. Well, that apparently didn't make it to the people that were actually putting in the wire, which is unfortunate. But the positive was because I invested so much in this system, again, we lost 4 megabits a second for the entirety of our system. So that's a great question. And you guys can probably tell that I really like talking about it. Huge surprise that the YouTube guy with the camera and the mic enjoys talking tech. And again, thank you all of you guys for viewing this and being a part of this today. If you don't mind liking the video, I'd really appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Gene, again, I thank you. Plan to move in 6 months to a year. I work online, so we need to have good access over there. Yeah, and again, you won't have an issue with like the speed or the consistency. There are definitely stories of certain neighborhoods. If one thing goes down, it takes a week for it to get back. I can tell you, and again, knock on wood, that nobody that I've had direct communications with, and that includes myself that I directly communicate with, I haven't heard a single person that's had that issue. Normally it's down, like if there's a power outage, and then it's right back up, just like the United States. So you should be good to go. And again, Paseo de Mateo, that whole street, they have free public Wi-Fi. So if anything ever does happen at your house, find a bench under a tree and go to there or Plaza Grande, and they have free public access Wi-Fi that I have signed on, that I signed on to. Geez, I think, when was it? Maybe our second trip down, 2-3 years ago, something like that. I signed on to it then, and I still, like, that Wi-Fi network still pops up. It automatically connects, and I've got absolutely fantastic internet. So there's no issue overall with the internet there. It is simply just like what maybe happens to like an individual house and stuff like that. Just make sure you got a good router. You'll be good. You'll be fine. And again, the mesh systems work way better simply because the concrete walls are rough on stuff like that. If I had a really nice, expensive router here that was just a singular unit, it could work for this entire house. It'd be no problem at all. Our house is like 180 feet long by 30 feet wide, and it's all concrete construction, so I have to have things in different areas, and it works perfectly. Tim, which service provider is best depends on somewhat on your neighborhood. If your node is oversubscribed for on a provider, it affects your performance. 100%. Yeah. No, Tim's 100% right there. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what let me go back to this view so I don't slander some company. But gigabit internet in Merida, Mexico. I can't remember what the subscriber was that I was trying to get. I feel like it was media something. Telmex, of course, pops up first. It was something interesting. Like I can't remember exactly what the name was, but it was like media, blah blah blah. But they advertised it. We tried to get it, and then they didn't. But then the thing you have to realize too is whenever you, oh, Izzy is good. Yeah, we stayed at a house that had Izzy, and I think it had to do with and this is what I'm talking about. I think it had more to do with the routers than the service, but I wasn't impressed with Izzy. But again, I think it was more the house and where the actual modem connection was in the place. So I wasn't necessarily a fan, but I've heard lots of good stories about Izzy because they also have, and I'm sure Telmex may be like this too, but they also have packages for like cable, like TV and stuff like that too. It's so easy down there if you have good internet, if you have like strong internet, to get an Amazon Fire Stick, and if as long as you have one provider in the US or down there. I mean, obviously, if you're down there 24/7 and you're down there all the time and you're an expat or an immigrant, whatever you want to call it, it's great to have something like that. But for us, we have Dish Network. And hopefully they never find this video because they'll probably shut down stuff. But I just use an Amazon Fire Stick. I have a NordVPN app. I show that I'm in Kansas City, and it brings up everything that I could possibly have here. So streaming services are awesome for that reason, but VPNs are ludicrously helpful. And so Izzy, like I said, I had a bad experience. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that was my issue. And once we actually got stuff figured out with our house, I knew enough about it, and it was our house, so I could mess with it to kind of get it figured out and do what I needed to do. Tim used Izzy too. Yep. German. I also have Telmax, and they're good also. I work online and need to have a backup just in case. That makes a lot of sense. That's one of those things that I know one other family, and it's mine. It's my parents. They have a like land-based like cable TV in their house, and they also have Dish Network. And the reason is Dish is way better for their situation, but the land-based system doesn't go out when it's storming outside. And we all like football in my family, so we can't be watching a football game when it's looking like that. When it's raining outside, you got to still be able to watch it, or snowing or anything else. But yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah. And again, like I said, I have no problem with Izzy. I just know my singular experience, and it wasn't great. But again, I think that had more to do with the router in our situation than anything else. So it's good to hear that. Like I said, we have Telmex because I wanted the other one. It was media sign. It's going to drive me crazy. I can't find it on here. But I really wanted to do that because it was gigabit. And especially, like you guys know, like the camera that I have, it shoots in 6K. So when it uploads, it's always in 4K. But those files, especially now, were gigantic. And so, where I used to shoot a video that would end up being like 3 to 4 gigabits or gigabytes, now it's 80. And they all upload to YouTube, and now they just look better as long as the lighting is good. But that takes a long time to upload. And with this system that I have here with the gigabit internet, and it normally runs like 800 megabits a second, so it's never like true gigabit. But here, it takes me 2 minutes to upload it to YouTube, and then YouTube just takes forever to process everything. When I was there and was uploading videos, like I can't imagine how long it's going to take me to upload a video there. It won't be bad, but as opposed to 2 minutes, it's probably going to be like half an hour. So not a big deal. Definitely like stupid problems, call it whatever you want. But it's just one of those things, like if you're somebody that's uploading anything bigger than that, definitely find a place where they've got ludicrously good upload and download speeds. And I think my upload speed here is even faster. I think it's 850 normally, so it is what it is. But yeah, it's fine there. And again, the amount of public Wi-Fi is really incredible. I mean, like I said, the entire Paseo de Mateo, or at least the southernmost part of it, That is all taken care of. It has free Wi-Fi for people. They, the Starbucks and stuff like that, they always have free Wi-Fi. It's very rare, actually, now that I think about it, that I've had to go into a place and actually ask for their password. And if you do, it doesn't change, which is nice. And that's honestly kind of out of the ordinary, even for, the United States. There are places at the Lake of the Ozarks where I go to where if you ask for their Wi-Fi password, they are really petty. I want to say petty. That's probably not the right word, but they don't like giving it out. And the reason they don't like giving it out is because they use satellite internet and they're basically paying for however many megabits are downloaded in a given month. If you've got unlimited internet, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Now that's what I have at the lake now, but that's a really good comparison. So what I have at the lake now is normally averages out to about 25 megabits a second, so about half of what we get in Mexico. And those videos will take about an hour or so to upload if I download, especially something like this. But yeah, down there it's not bad. It really isn't. It's pretty impressive. So I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. Every time I go into a new screen, I'd never like to have you guys watching because I remember doing this one time. Can't remember what I was looking up. It was like some type of Yucatecan art. And there is a video, if you look back at all of my live streams, where something, not horrible, but something slightly inappropriate came up. And I just had to scroll down really fast. But I like to make sure that that I check it out first now. So I also keep asking people, I don't know if you guys see this on YouTube, but when you're monetized, YouTube allows you to do like polls and stuff like that. As if you guys see those, first of all, thank you guys so much for commenting on them and actually keeping up with that. But I like asking people different questions, and it's interesting to see the answers. And a lot of them, like, I can't remember what. Here, let me bring this back real quick. I can't remember what the last one was that I asked, but I'll show it. Not that you guys wouldn't be totally impressed with how much money I'm making on here, my $2 a month. But I just want to show you guys this because I think it's funny. Oh, can't go there. You actually have to go to YouTube. This is the weirdest thing. You have to go to actual YouTube to your channel to figure out your community posts. But this is what I see on my side, so here you go. This is the one I'm kind of excited about, and I hope you guys are. So this is my last question, the one at the very top here. If you guys can see my mouse, it's right there. But would it be valuable to you to see a video where I interview a real estate agent in Merida? You have no idea how excited I was that within one day, within 21 hours, I have 31 votes and 94% of you have said yes, because next week I'm setting up an appointment with, I won't tell you who it is because I want to make sure it goes through and, all the ends meet, but I'm actually interviewing online an agent that I have a lot of respect for in Merida, and I'm getting a huge list of questions. So I'm a real estate agent in Kansas City. I'm not as active as I used to be. A lot of the stuff that I do now is like my personal investments and everything. So buying and selling like flips and rentals and stuff like that. But I'm ludicrously excited to be able to like send this guy the questions and go back and forth about what he thinks about the market and where he thinks it's going, how, just everything with it. Because in this, like in the Merida market, it's so interesting to me right now, because when I look at the US, I've been divesting a lot of my stuff. Pretty much, I think I have one lot. Yeah, I've got one lot that I still need to sell. And that's pretty much it. And the reason is because the numbers just personally don't make sense to me anymore. Like they've just gotten kind of crazy in Kansas City and in a lot of other places as well. But in Merida, it's a really interesting market because, one, you do have a lot of expats, a lot of immigrants that are moving down there, and they want to create a life for themselves, whether it's, they're snowbirds or they're full-timers, or they're just trying to like figure out if this is the right place for them. So you definitely have that. But at the same time, you have a lot of Mexicans that are from other areas of Mexico that are moving down there because it's either safer or a better climate or whatever it might be. And so interviewing somebody like that is going to be really cool for me because he asked me if I could provide him a list of questions. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I can provide you some questions because I'm super excited about it. I'm ludicrously excited about that interview because it's such a, and I don't want to say biased, but I may be overhyping it only because I'm so actively involved in talking about it anymore, thanks to this channel, of course, that it feels like Merida is really exploding at this point. And it's not just Americans, it's not just Canadians, it's Mexicans that are moving from other areas too. It's people from England and all over the world. If you guys saw some of my background analytics on here, you'd see that like I get views from all over the world. And when I see that, it gets me really excited for the future potential. But it also is one of those things that you want to make sure that you don't get accused of like, you know, gentrification or something like that. So it's going to be fun. I'm ludicrously excited. I have so much respect for this particular individual, and yeah, I can't wait to bring that to you guys. I think it's gonna be hyped. But it's supposed to. I think right now we have it on Wednesday, is where we're scheduled. I'm not really gonna edit it. I'm hoping it's more like a podcast. All I have to do is like add the intro and the outro and stuff like that. But look for it later this week. You guys should be super excited, and I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna blow your minds with how much activity he does. You guys can also see some of the other questions on here. It's like this is one of the ones that talked about the other day, and I've had so many comments like this. The second question says 2 days ago, should we use the term expatriate, expat, or immigrant? And you can tell that it's basically 50-50. I mean, it's 48-52. On the internet, you don't get that much closer to 50-50. And I say this all the time on the videos where I use like the headline will be something about expat or are expats this or expatriates this. And every single time I post a video like that, I know I'm going to get comments that basically say you should say immigrant. And the worst part for me is most of those comments you can tell are kind of said with a negative reaction. And my whole opinion every single time that I try to react, I always try to react to things like in a positive manner. I'm not perfect at that, but I try to. But when that does occur, I'm like, dude, that's fine. It's completely okay. The United States of America, for, you know, all of our positives and negatives, for all of our faults and great things, it's like we always call ourselves a nation of immigrants. I understand why the term has a negative connotation in some ways, but if you're talking to me about it, like, dude, I'm descendant from Croatians and Irish. Like, it's we're all immigrants here. So it's always weird, but I did want to ask that question. Of course, it got 42 votes to be completely 50-50, so it's just interesting to me. But I saw somebody, OG, what's up? What are views? I assume Casas and Ramate. Give me a second. Let me switch this. Let me look it up. My Spanish isn't perfect, as I've said before. Sorry. I'm, I'm trying to do the right thing here and understand this a bit before I answer. So don't think I'm avoiding you at all. I'm just trying to make sure I understand exactly what we're talking about here. Auction houses? Like houses that are up for auction? Is that what we're talking about? Bank owned, bank owned. I'm probably not. I'll answer your question. I'm probably not the. Can you give me a little bit more information about what you're asking for? Because I've purchased a lot of like bank owned houses, especially post recession. And So I just want to ask a little bit about what you're talking about. Is it like state of condition, how they sell? I didn't buy one in Merida, so I don't want to say anything about that because I just don't have enough knowledge. But like here, I can tell you how I feel about it personally. Um, but I want to know what you're asking for before I go off on a long tangent and you're like, dude, I was asking about what you thought about this, if you know what I mean. So if you don't mind, just give me a little bit more information. I'm more than happy to answer your question. I just need to know a little bit more. Tim, I mentioned Casa Normonte to my real estate agent and lawyer back when, and they said run away. Usually more trouble than you expect. Oh, 100%. Like again, not talking about Merida because I'd have no experience in it, but I've purchased. I'll tell you one story. I'll tell you a story that'll at least entertain you guys. Um, I bought a house, and I can't remember who it was, like which bank it was purchased from. It was like a Fannie Mae house or something like that. But it was in really bad condition. But it was in a neighborhood that I'd actually flipped a house about 6 months prior and knew the value of the neighborhood. I knew that I could buy this house for this and I'd sell it for 130, and I knew that was the case. And my thought process was I'm gonna make about 60 on it based on how much I bought. Or what I purchased it for, I should say, if I can speak English correctly too. And I ended up having the electric company and the cops at that house because the guy that it had been taken away from had apparently gone to prison because he was growing weed in his house. Now, personally, I don't care. I honestly don't care. But what I do care about is that we went through the sheetrock and a circuit breaker fell out that was not attached. We traced the circuit breaker with the electric company and the cops there up to a hole he'd made in the upstairs bathroom where he went directly into the power line and spliced it. So, him doing some illegal stuff before the meter, basically taking power without getting charged for it, cost me $989 2 weeks from that point. And when I called the city and said, that's not my problem, they said, we don't care. So that's the only house I've lost money on. I put way too much money into it, but I have had great experiences buying bank-owned houses. I have had that one horrific experience where everything went wrong. So that's my fun story. Let's see. What do we have to say? The process is safe. That's what I thought, Tim. There you go. Yeah, you guys got it. Yeah, I mean, and again, like I know Tim said that, like run away, and you're like, that's what I thought. I totally get it. And again, if you're in Mexico and you don't, like, you think about the septic systems, like you think about the actual waste systems, they're ludicrously complicated. They're dug under the ground in the property. We had to redo everything in hours to make sure that it all functioned correctly. Paid lots of money to make sure that it did. And then the moment that we're staying there, the house floods twice in different areas. All kinds of things could go wrong. Like, it's just one of those, like, if you're in a situation where you're like us or something close to it, yeah, I definitely suggest finding yourself an agent and avoiding bank-owned properties because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know who's pouring concrete down something. But that's also not to say that if you find something at the right price, it couldn't be good. So you just have to be careful. And don't buy a house where there was a drug trafficker that was living there previously. That's normally a good thing, I think, just to avoid that. The positive was it was in Independence, Missouri, and I have an in-law that's a cop in Independence, and I called him and said, I didn't know it was going to happen because they were like, oh, this guy was doing weed in your property and you've got illegal electricity. And I just called him and I was like, I might be seeing you shortly. I don't know if I'm going to jail or not. Luckily, they knew it was like, nah, it's the guy, but not a fun day at all. It was very terrifying. But yeah, bank-owned houses, it's always fun. But again, I also like it's in Kansas City, but I had one. It's a neighborhood called Hyde Park in Kansas City, and we bought a house for 65,000. that needed paint, the floors refinished, and the kitchen redone. We did all of that. We needed a few other things, but we did all of that, and we sold it for like 150 a couple years later after renting it for a ludicrous amount of money because it was downtown for a few years. And then the people that bought it from us sold it for even more money just a couple of years later. So, like, bank owned properties can be good. But if you're not there, I would suggest avoiding it because mine have given me heart attacks on a very consistent basis. So, yeah, that was a fun conversation. Going back to it, there's it. Google Translate. Isn't this the best app in the world? What do you want to translate? Anything? Talk to it. Do whatever you need. It's good to go. Literally, like every single house that we've stayed in post our very first trip when it was in Wymatoon, every single trip, this app has been a lifesaver because, you know, whether we're talking to a crew, a store owner, somebody from the Chembeck market, whatever it might be, it's nice to just be able to pull it up on your phone, talk into it, show them. Or like if you're in a cab, it's like, I need to go here. Well, if you've ever been to Merida or if you've ever been to anywhere outside of like your hometown, you know that trying to explain where you're trying to go can get a little crazy. And so we needed to go to our architect's building, Henry Ponce, and I literally just said, we're going to Calle, I can't remember what it was, but let's say it's like Calle 54 and 65, or 54 and 65, between 44 and 46, whatever it might be. I just said that, and I showed it to the guy, and I was like, done, we got to figure it out. And when he asked a question of us, I just held it up to him, spoke into it, and it translated probably 97% of it perfectly. So, oh man, I just kicked my desk. For everybody that says that kind of thing, where it's like, you know, you really need to learn the language and that kind of thing, it's like, I could totally and completely agree. My only comment about that is don't feel like you should have to do that right like before you move somewhere. Understand that being down there is going to be the process of learning the language. So I hope that was inspirational to somebody. But yeah, I also do want to say thank you on this video to all the members and patrons to this channel. It's been huge and really appreciated. I see a lot of people that even in comments are doing that stuff now. So just thank you very much for that. It's been awesome because the videos I just saw the other day, it made me very proud. I crossed over 200,000 views on this channel, and I remember getting my first subscriber in 2020. It's like I had 5 subscribers, and I'm being very honest with you guys, so I hope you don't judge me. I had 5 subscribers, and all 5 of them were 5 random like Gmail accounts that I'd made for different businesses that we had. And I was like, I'm gonna subscribe, and then I saw 6. It's like, this is the coolest thing ever. So that was pretty neat. But just thank you to all of you guys who are subscribers and like and comment and all that kind of stuff. It really, like, for dude from Kansas City that talks about Mexico and all that kind of stuff, it's just cool to be able to see that and grow the community. And our Facebook channel is growing. I think I saw the other day, I was answering somebody's question, and we have 263 members. I used to be the only member, and we just have more and more and more and more. And I've actually had to add moderators because, like, we don't have anything bad that goes on yet. It's only 263 people, but it was just kind of cool to be able to be like, hey man, I need you to kind of check out some stuff, and having people actually step up and do it. It's been really neat. It's a really cool thing to be able to kind of grow this thing and see what it's become. So thank you. Especially you, Tim, because you're always here and awesome. Me and that man, Tim and I met at Hennessy's, had a conversation, and it was amazing, and like learning about his property and what his plan was. If you remind me, I think that place actually, that's the one that fell through, and then he got another one. But like just getting those like videos and stuff like that from him and Jason and a few other people that are a part of this channel and Glenn and Roy and stuff like that, it's been really cool because there are so many people that actually just enjoy being in Merida. They enjoy being a part of the community, and almost, I won't say everybody, but almost everybody has had a really good outlook on it too. And I think that's ludicrously important because one of the things that I try to say on videos where I talk about moving down there and stuff, I always try to include, and maybe I don't always actually put it in there, but I try to include comments that are basically like, you are moving down there to enjoy what it is, and your influence on it can be a positive thing, but don't pretend you're moving down there because you thought it could be more like, and I'll use myself as an example. You could make it more like Kansas City. It's like, enjoy the fact that it's Merida. Have a good time. And I see this with people that move to Playa del Carmen or Cozumel or Cancun or Cabo San Lucas. Like, when you have the mentality that I'm going down there to become a part of this, it's so much easier. And you look forward to it so much more. It's I guess it's kind of, I said Cancun, but it's kind of the anti-Cancun mentality. It's like, why do people like Isla Mujeres so much? Because it's just a little different. It's got its little side of chaos, like Cancun, but you're not going to Coco Bongo and having tequila shots drain down your throat 5 days a week. You're going down there to have a good time and relax. And if you do that and you're in retirement or just moving or you're trying to explore the world and you're doing something, you can just ingratiate yourself with the community. And it's a positive thing. I had to respond to a comment like that earlier today where I honestly was probably a little bit more lippy than I normally get, but there were a few things within that comment that I was like, I don't really like how you're saying that. And it had a lot to do with that mentality. It's like, look, you need to understand, because I certainly don't understand it perfectly, but when you visit a place, be the person that enjoys it for what it is. And that's not saying anything negative about the place or you. That's saying like, there's literally like, when in Rome, there's a reason that that's a statement. When in Merida, same thing. When in anywhere, except Vegas. So I just got a comment. I wanted to make sure it didn't go crazy. Tim, that's why I've been here since the early days. Happy to support such an awesome channel. You have been here since the early days. That's no doubt. I'd love to have you and your family visit. Kids can swim at the pool we have. On the patio, barbecue, so then relax. Oh, you're speaking my language when you say barbecue, Tim. Telling you, you don't get a Kansas City boy going somewhere and say barbecue. You better bring your A game out. But yeah, man, no, you have been here since the early days. I think you were one of the first like 100 subscribers, if I remember right. But yeah, you've been here since the very beginning. You and Jason were two of the first ones. It's been awesome. But yeah, we'll definitely come over. Last year, dude, this is one of the things that we were actually talking about this earlier today. We have amazing friends and family that come down, and it's really cool. Like, that's the entire point. I tell this on every video. I say this on every video. We have friends and family that come down, and we want them there. But there are a few where you're like, I don't need you to be here at the very end of the vacation because I need to feel like I'm enjoying the vacation. And as fun as you are, I can't do fun 7 days a week. And so we've been like trying to place people correctly and make sure that like everybody's like stays or at the right spot. But yeah, the last time we were down there for a month at our house when we finally got it finished. And you stopped by. That was so cool and really appreciate it. I felt like such a jerk because my brain was going 100 miles an hour that day, and I didn't recognize you when you came to the door. And I was like, who? Tim. Now I feel stupid. Of course it's you. But no, it was so cool that you stopped by and everything. And I told my wife, like, we've got to do that. And then we just had so many people down that we couldn't. And this year I said, I was like, oh, we're going to see it because I want to see that new, was it the water feature that you put in? Yeah, definitely doing that. Not a problem. But yeah, I felt so stupid that day. And that wasn't the first time either. The worst part was, it was like that had happened to me like 3 times. And I felt worse as the day went on. You stopped by, somebody else stopped by. We went and saw somebody. And by the time I got back into the house, I'm surprised to recognize my kids. Your A game? No pressure. No, you're good, man. No, it's just Kansas City is the king of barbecue, man. I've got friends that are world champions. I've got big smoker in my backyard. I'm not a world champion. I can cook a good steak, but I'm not there yet. But actually on my podcast, I had a podcast for a couple of years called 10 Tabs Open. It was really fun. Just interviewed people that I thought were cool. And it's when I had like I was still watching my kids all the time, but I was trying to figure out my direction in life. And I had that, and our friend Megan Day, who her team is Burnt Finger Barbecue, and she's been on like the Today Show and all kinds of different things. I think she's been on HSN, and she was on the podcast, and she brought over something and like a couple of bottles of barbecue sauce. And I was like, jeez, if I was in that business, I would weigh 600 pounds. Like, and there's not even a question about it. It would just be terrible for me. But I'm used to it. We've got other friends that like Kansas City Royal is one of the biggest barbecue competitions in the nation. Happens every year, and it happens Kansas City. It's KC Royal, and it used to be in an area in Kansas City called the West Bottoms, and that was when it was really fun. I think they brought it out to like Arrowhead this year. They put it in a couple of different locations, but yeah, man, barbecue here, we know what's up. There's no doubt about it. I've got a lot of friends from Texas and Carolina and stuff like that, and they try to talk about their stuff, and I'm like, bro, you aren't in the home of it. Promise you that. For anybody that's gotten to this point in the video, if you're not watching it live, please understand that I like barbecue anywhere, but you're messing with the wrong city if you're going against Kansas City. That's all I can say. It's kind of like football. And I lost all of my Philadelphia audience. Bye, guys. That was an interesting Super Bowl. Again, happy Kansas City law or happy Kansas City won. Philadelphia. I respected Jalen Hurts when he was in the national championship game when he had to give up his spot to Tua and was cheering him on. Like that was a fun Super Bowl to watch because I had so much respect for the other side, and I didn't in the AFC Championship game, so that was fun. But to win like that was really cool. I just thought it was hilarious that people complained about it so much. But it's all good. But that's Kansas City, man. I feel like I have two home cities. I've got Kansas City, I've got Merida, and then I've got our place at the Ozarks. But Lake of the Ozarks just feels like that's your city, even though there are 20 different cities that surround Lake of the Ozarks. It just feels like the lake is your town more than anything else. So hope you can teach a few things barbecue wise. Is my first barbecue long story. That's all good. Like I said, I'm just I'm just talking it at this point. It's not something I'm an expert at by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, with steak, I know steak. I cook on a charcoal grill, which was weird when I was in Merida because actually it was when we stayed in Wymatoon on the beach. I picked up charcoal, and you just kind of expect that you understand what charcoal looks like if you're from the US because they're like the little briquettes and everything like that. I'm doing this to a camera that doesn't exist. The little briquettes. But this was like actual charcoal, like wood, like charcoal that they had just made from wood. And I had no idea. And then I bought another one that was like cylindrical. And I had no idea what to do. And they didn't light the right way. And we were on the beach, so the wind was coming in crazy. So nothing I cooked in Merida or Wymatoon has been very good unless it's been like inside on the oven. But we did get a gas line run for a gas grill to our what will be our outside grill, and I am very much looking forward to that. And just never tastes the same. That's the sucky part. Like gas is way easier to cook on, but when I'm at the lake, man, I get a charcoal grill out there. I just let it simmer. It takes about 30 minutes for it to get all warmed up, and then by the time it does, I throw meat on and I'm good to go. So I've got one out there at our here at our house in Kansas City that it's got two sides, and one is more of a smoker side, and then the other is like an actual grill. And I love that because I'll be like smoking pork butt or ribs or something like that, and then cooking steak, and it's like this is my meal for tomorrow. because it's going to take 9 hours. And this is my meal for today because I'm going to cook it real quick. German, you still have to kind of matul for huevos mataños. Have you been to Telchek Puerto? I've been to Telchek Puerto, yes. I have not been to their downtown, which was really, really frustrating. I do need to get to Motul. But the Telchek Puerto thing, it's a bad memory for me. So we went to let me look it up real quick here. Merida. I'll bring it up on the main screen when I get there. So give me just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna try to find the place where I've been. So here's Telchek Puerto. You can see that I've been on YouTube a lot, or on Google Maps a lot. But there was a restaurant around here that was ludicrously good. And I don't see it. See yours? Nope. Nope. Nothing that nice. There was a place, though. It was like right outside of Telchak that we just had an amazing meal. And it was right on the beach. Beautiful. I think I know I have a video of it. But it was great, and it was absolutely, perfect view. You literally stepped past their fence and you're in the ocean. For whatever reason, Telchak has, like, at least the time that I went there, it had beautiful, like, blue water. It wasn't like, some of the areas along the Gulf of Mexico where it's kind of greenish ocean water or Gulf water. But it was absolutely beautiful. I was so mad because there was a day where we had planned on 2 days, and my wife's family was in, and not mad at them, but we had driven to that restaurant, came back, and then they came in town, and my kids were taking naps. And I was like, look, I know how they get when they don't get their naps. You guys go, have a good time. We'll get back there in a couple of days, and I'll actually be able to enjoy it. It was only like 20 minutes from the place we were staying at. And we never got back. And so this next trip, I've got a bunch of places that we're definitely going to. And one of them is I'm going to downtown Telchak, because when you drive by that place, and I wonder if I can get a view here. Oh, yeah, I can. Here we go. Drop a little guy there. It's got like these sand streets. I know that's probably not like beautiful to you guys, but to me, this stuff's amazing. It's just got these beautiful like sand streets, and it's an actual, like, it is a true beach town. Like, tell me that isn't awesome. Tell me that's not cool. It is a true beach town in Yucatan. I just love it. Love it. Yeah, Tim, it was awesome. Yeah. And this is what I was so frustrated about, because when you're driving by, you see those sandy streets, and you're like, this looks like it could be really cool. Never got to go. I was so mad. I was so upset. But it is what it is. I took care of my kids. That's what mattered the most. But I cannot wait to go back. So, yeah. Telchak is really cool. And it's such a calm area. Like, it really feels like Progresso doesn't look massive on a map, but Progresso's a massive place. Telchak, not a massive place. Truly a beach town. So, yeah, I'm excited to get back there. It'll be fun. Let me check one thing real quick here, guys. I need to figure out where my timing is. Yeah, we're still good to go. But yeah, I mean, stuff like this, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I can't tell if this is bad or good. You guys probably can't see it. I can't tell if she's trying to like help this person or feed something. We're gonna walk away from that. But I mean, you can kind of see, man, I really wish I knew what that place was called, because that was such a great little restaurant. This is another thing. Like, if you guys look at this, these places are really cool along the beach in northern Yucatan, because they're all these, like, there's Calle 23, but then you've got just these long lots. And this is the same kind of place where we stayed at when we first stayed in Waimatun. It was a very long lot well designed. A lot of them will have like these don't, but a lot of them will have like a little house. You can kind of see one right here where, the person that takes care of the property stays, and then they've got the main house up here. But I mean, these places are just absolutely beautiful. You can see a house here has a pool, but that's how the lots are sold. And when we were there, and I don't remember exactly what it is now. I don't remember what the cost is, but I do remember when we were there were lots that were for sale on the beach for like 30 to 50 USD. And I just thought that was insane. I was like, I'm going to buy two and build a big house in between them. And then we started thinking a little bit too hard about, oh, look at this house, this beautiful home that we're staying in, and look at how the salt water is killing the is killing the faucets and the wood and everything else and the paint. And it's like we asked the guy that was in one of the houses at the back of the property, like helping to maintain it. It's like, how often do you paint this house? And he was like, every year, every 2 years. Certain places every year, certain places every 2 years. It's like, nope, no, I already know that if we're going to stay in this kind of environment, it's going to take a while it's going to take a lot to maintain. So I'm not going to stay on the beach. Sorry. German, we're going to find it. I promise you I will find it. And I do have a video. I think it's like my 5 favorite beach restaurants or something, because I talk about like La Antigua and Eladio's and a few Crabster, and I know it's one of those, and that's what's driving me absolutely nuts, because it literally, like, it looks like one of these places. But like, you see where my mouse is right here? Nope, you don't. But there it is. It was like the place where we stayed, or the place where we had. Oh wait, hold on. Is that it? Is it Bellamar? Hold on. Give me a second. I think this might be it. But they don't have the right pictures. I think this is it. I think it was Bellamar. Yeah. They didn't. The reason that I'm questioning is they didn't have it set up like this when we went there. But this has to be it. Yep, that's it. That's the picture that reminds me of it. Yeah, so they have these little places, and see how she's kind of sitting under it right here? You guys can barely see? Yeah. Sorry. Here, it's fine. I'll just move me. Give me a second. Move me over here. There we go. So, see how she's sitting under this little place right here? That's what reminds me of it, because that is really not tall. Like, when we went down there, I had to, like, duck into this place, and we actually sat in this one, the one right behind her. But yeah, Bellamar, that's the name of the place. Now, I'm going to move me back over, because that was weird. So, Bellamar. There you go. All right, we found it. That was going to drive me insane if we didn't find that place. It really was, because it was such a nice place. You literally felt like you just walked onto the beach. And when we were there that day, if you notice that there's like kind of a dark area there, we must have been high tide or something, because that beach was real close. I have been to Bellamar. Sorry, guys, I'm catching up on the comments here. Been to Bellamar. Oh, awesome. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. OG style in many countries. It's not wise to leave your home unattended for long periods of time. Your views on Merida. I'm leaning towards Vida dealing with HOA fees. Honestly, I do agree. It's not a great idea to leave your house unattended. But with ours, we obviously have a property management company. They check on it. We have neighbors. Like, it is a well looked after area. There's a lot of traffic there. Not traffic that, like, not buses going up and down the street 24/7, which is something you need to think about if you do move to Merida, because their buses are loud and those streets are concrete with concrete buildings. It makes it a little noisy, but we're not on that. But I also have a lake house that, man, we have neighbors and stuff, but we're kind of off the trail, and we've got a bunch of cameras and stuff like that. So if anything happens, we obviously know about it. But we've been very fortunate. And that's very possible. We've been very fortunate that nothing has, knock on fake wood, ever happened. But I think if you plan ahead and just let people know about it, it's not a big deal. And especially when you're talking about a city like this, uh, in Merida, make friends with your neighbors, but just do all the things that you would think about doing if you took a long vacation. Is all I can say. It's like if you took a 2 week vacation, is it the best thing in the world to leave your house alone? No. Would you have your family come and check on it every couple of days? Yeah, maybe. Same thing with a property management company. We've got people in there that clean the house several times a week, check the pool, check the landscaping, all that stuff. Like, it's not that there are people in and out all the time, but enough to know, like, we might want to think about this and that. So, and with Merida, and I've said this in several conversations, not just on live stream and not on videos, but I've told people this consistently. If anybody texts me, and by the way, my text number is 816-727-7740. But if people text me and they want to, ask questions like this, I tell them all the time. It's like, Merida is a different city than what you're used to hearing about, because I think there are a lot of people that have this idea that, everywhere in Mexico is everywhere in Mexico. It's really not. I have walked at night at 1 o'clock in the morning. Never, ever, not one time have I felt like I was in any type of danger. So I would just say, like, yes, it does make sense to make sure that people are checking on your house. But as far as my views on Merida and dealing with that, whether it's an HOA or whether you're just in a random neighborhood, yeah, I mean, do smart things like making sure that people are kind of in and out, cleaning your house, so if anything goes wrong, But man, I'm not going to be bothered. I'm not it. I have not once, and maybe this is dumb, but I have not once thought about it being a negative that I'm in Merida. My house is like not rented for a couple of weeks. So I hope that answers your question. It's a great question, but it's just never something that crosses my mind as a worry. Like, safety there feels literally like safety right here in, Kansas City. And I can tell you too, there are places that I can show you here that I wouldn't want to go to at night, and I've never felt bad at night there. So that's just my opinion. Um, German's an awesome place. The owners are my parents' friends. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, you know them? That's cool. Man, they were so nice. I felt really bad because we didn't get really good internet service at all, like even cellular. So my wife, who like always says that she doesn't speak much Spanish, but the moment that she gets to Mexico, it all comes back. She was able to like interpret the whole menu, and I felt like an idiot, and I immediately downloaded Duolingo, and I was working on it the whole trip until today. But that's really cool that you know them. If you ever talk to them, let them know that I loved it, and I'd like to talk to them. Probably via Google Translate, I guess. Oh, now I'm all hungry. Looks great. Yep, exactly. That is one of the last places my dad went when he passed from COVID-19. I'm sorry, German. That's there's there's nothing I can say. I'm just sorry. That's awful. I'm really sorry about that. But I will say I hope he had a good life, and the next one's just as good. But I'm sorry that that happened. That sucks. There's no other way to say it. You stayed the same reasons I passed on the beach as well. Yeah, yeah, the beach was, and I've talked about this on several videos. The beach was, I'm just going to leave it like this because Bella Marni can get as much advertising as they want. They've got a 4.3 rating as a beach restaurant with 285 people talking about it. Yeah, they deserve to be on my little YouTube channel's video a little bit longer. But yeah, the beach thing was one of those, like, when you think about your perfect retirement and, like, I don't want to say the next life because that sounds weird, but like when you think about like what your dream is, you're always thinking about you're in Mexico, you've got this nice beautiful house behind you with a big patio and a pool and a white sand beach with palm trees, and there's just enough wind to kind of cool you down because it's hot, and you're drinking a margarita and you're happy as you can be. But if you're realistic, it's like that's a great place to visit. But when I have to replace all of my fixtures every 2 years, when I have to paint my house at maximum every 2 years, when the maintenance on this place is so ludicrously high that it doesn't make any sense, then it's like maybe I'll go to Merida and live there, build myself a paradise inside of one of these lots, and then I'll get a car. And then I'll go to Kokomo, or I'll go to Silser Beach Club, or just Progresso, like the Malecon in general, and I'll hang out there for a day or two. And then I'll come back to Merida and be like, fantastic. I still use the same faucet that I did 5 years ago. Maybe that makes it worth it. It did to me. Like I said, I have the same view. I have the same thought process everybody else does. That is when you like lay back in your hammock and you fall asleep and you dream about your perfect life, you're on a beach. You're always on a beach. If you're me, you could also be at Lake of the Ozarks. That is definitely true. But most of the time you're on a beach. But as a homeowner, that's a real tough ask. You better be there all the time and loving it every day because man, that can be tough. You leave. We didn't actually leave. The person that was maintaining the house left doors open one day, and it was a really windy day, and we got sand on all of the beds and floors in the entire house, and he had to go through and clean them off one by one. And he knew. He was like, "Yeah, that was my fault." It was just like, but that was 2 hours. Nah, I like being downtown. It's all good. Oh, I didn't think about that, Tim. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Saltaire is hard on cars, electronics, artwork. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you're 100% right. By the way, if you haven't already, please like the video. It's awesome. Thank you. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things like you always like people from Missouri for years used to love looking up cars from like Florida because they were like, we have salt on our roads, and so the undercarriage of the car won't be as affected by salt because they won't have had the snow and the salt and all that stuff kind of kicked up to them. So I'm going to buy a car from Florida and ship it up here, drive it back up here. And it was like, dude, you know they live next to an ocean that has salt, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever been to a beach, but this is not your best plan. Like, yes, we definitely have concentrated issues with it, but no, it affects everything. The thing I really didn't think about was the artwork. That's true. Because now that I'm thinking about it, the house that we stayed in that was in Wymatoon, which is basically just down the beach from where this picture is showing, that house had all kinds of pictures on the wall, and not one of them was anything but like concrete or stucco or something like that. It was all full of like these like not murals, but just kind of like big heavy pieces. But that makes a lot of sense. If you just put up a wood photograph, the frame's gonna rot out like crazy, just like the cabinets were in that house. That's a good point, man. And electronics, Jesus, that's rough. Keep looking at all these. Like, this is the weirdest thing. I felt like a few years ago when we went down, none of these like random places existed. Via Chakis, they might have. I mean, they might have been there, but like they weren't advertising like this. This is crazy. Another little piece of advice, and everybody who's been to Merida understands this, but when you go to a gas station, make sure you have like pesos on you because they will take credit card, but they pump your gas and you want to be able to tip them. So there's my 2 cents. Might sound a little weird, but it's definitely a necessity. You just want to make sure that you've got enough pesos on you to not feel like a jerk because I definitely did a couple of times. And one of them, and the reason I say that is if I go out far enough, I know, oh, baseball field. That's pretty cool. Oh, you guys can't see it. There it is. Baseball field. Sorry, I always forget how my screens kind of interact with each other. but right outside of Telchak, there it is. Gas station. That's not what it looked like. Bro, come on. All right, we got to do a deep dive. Let's figure this out. There it is. Pemex. We stopped at this gas station, and we didn't know the rules. And so they filled up our gas. They were ludicrously kind, and we had 0 pesos on us. And I like tipping. Like, I'm always a 20% guy unless you absolutely made my life horrific during our visit. And they couldn't have been nicer. And they filled up our gas, kind of yelled at me, not in a mean way, but I tried to fill it up myself because I'm used to doing that here. They're like, And then we didn't have any cash on us at all. So I think we stopped by. I think my wife stopped by there when she took the rest of the family. Like I was telling you, that I was frustrated. She stopped by there and made sure to tip them when we didn't have the opportunity. So yeah, that was super cool. Big thing in Canada too, the salt. When you buy a used car in Western Canada, you avoid cars from Eastern Canada where they use too much salt on the roads. No, it's 100% a thing. It is definitely 100% a thing. It's just crazy to me when people think like if you're gonna buy a car, I assume the best place to buy it would be like Atlanta, like inland, good enough weather where it's not going to snow, at least very often. It never really snows in Atlanta. It snowed close to there, but I don't know if it ever snows. But it's normally warm, and if it snows, they don't know what to do with it anyway, so who cares? But like that would be the place to go. But don't go to like a beachside town. Don't buy a Miami car thinking you're avoiding salt. The ocean's there. Like, it's not too tough to figure that one out. Texas, probably another good place. Man, this is funny. Just looking at these places cracks me up because it's like this is Calle 23. This is the highway that runs along the beach all the way throughout Yucatan for the most part. And that's a highway. Oh, and by the way, you get to run into like the random police areas too where they have like, you know, 2 people watching you in traffic and they're hoping that you're driving 35 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour or whatever it is there. So, yeah. Super fun times, guys. But hey, love you guys. I'm gonna have to sign off of here. This was fantastic. German, Tim, OG, all of you guys. Thank you so much for commenting and being a part of this live stream. Gene, you too. I'm going to keep these going. I obviously am trying to get this figured out to where I can do this more often. Finally got my medical stuff kind of figured out to where I know how to kind of regulate everything. But really appreciate all of you guys being here. And if you guys obviously have any questions, comment on the video because I always see the first comment. That's probably something I should explain on this. I always see the first comment, but I rarely see follow up because people don't tag me. So if I see a comment, it always shows up, but the replies to my reply never show up on the system that I have. And so if you guys have any questions, email me, alexander@alexanderhowell.com, text me 816-727-7740. And you know my all of my information's down below, but at Alexander from KC is obviously where all of my stuff goes. And just thank you so much for being a part of this. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday, go play with the kids and all that kind of stuff. But as always, peace.